Go on. Keeps cutting in and out.
Yeah, same.
Oh, this is not good.
Music keeps going in and out.
Yeah, are you guys there?
Yeah, it kept going in and out though.
Yeah, that was weird.
Did you heard the same thing?
It was okay over here, but I don't know. Cross your fingers.
All right.
Cross your
Buckle up.
fingers. Let's get it going. Because the Big Play Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News, your go-to for gaming news, covers all your gaming content needs. They have the latest reviews and articles covering everything in gaming and tech, including a review of the 2019 Game of the Year Super Mario Maker 2, as well as a breakdown of all the top games in 2019. Go check them out if you haven't. Head on over to Shack News. Get into the conversation. Click on that Shack News Twitter profile, because when it comes to gaming news, there is only one site to visit, shacknews.com.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. You're listening to the best podcast on the air, Boom Shakalaka.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah,
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Free Shakalaka. Reflog, it's just golfer backward. Boom Shakalaka.
Welcome to the Big Play Reflog Show. Today is Monday, January 6th, 2020. I am your host, Big Play Dave, alongside my main man, Mr. Chris McNeil, and Breezy. What's going on?
2 years ago today, on January 6th, we had the parade in Cleveland for 0-16. You believe it?
Oh, is this is the anniversary?
This is the anniversary, Dave.
Wow, a little warmer today.
That's the only thing that's really changed, right?
Very
A
true.
few more wins here and there. Hopefully we have our quarterback. We've got some talent, but I don't know. The only real noticeable change, I think, is the weather. But here we
Yeah,
are.
I'm with you there. Bree, what's going on?
Hi, guys. Chris, you know what's remarkable about that? 2 years ago, we didn't fire a head coach after going 0-16. Imagine that.
That's correct. That's correct. The only thing that he did in that offseason
Here we
was
are.
jump into Lake Erie once it got warm enough.
Oh, God, remember
Yes,
that?
I never did.
Remember that? Yeah, he waited until like June when it was nice and warm, and then he jumped in.
That's
Good
right.
job,
Vitamin
Hugh.
D.
Oh, yeah. I remember it well. We've been through a lot. We got a packed show.
Good
Let's
times.
get it going. Tonight on the show, we will start things off with Power Rank Monday, presented by HoverHelmets.com. Top 3 former Browns players you would like to see on this roster. That's going to be a good one. We'll then have our feature interview with special guest and Browns running back legend Ernest Biner. Pumped for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Cleveland legend. After that, we will get into a deep dive of the coaching candidates. There's still a couple out there. Only one left with head coaching experience. In our headlines segment, sponsored by Cleveland Clothing Company. We'll hit you with a couple Would You Rathers, and then we will give you our bold predictions for the week. Let's get it going with some Power Rank Monday.
It's time for Power Rank Monday.
The playoffs are in full swing in the NFL, and NCAA championship is just a week away. And while the Browns and Buckeyes are no longer playing, perfect time right now to beef up that man cave or office. Hover Helmets makes the perfect centerpiece for any sports fan in your life. Go check them out at hoverhelmets.com and choose from those incredible NFL, NCAA, MLB teams. Be sure to visit hoverhelmets.com. Use promo code BIGPLAY for 15% off and some free shipping. All right, we're going to power rank top 3 former Browns we would like to add to this current roster. We'd get them in their prime, okay? So I'll kick things off here with my number 3. I'm going Michael Dean Perry.
Love the MDP.
Chris, what was his McDonald's burger? Was it the MDP?
The Dean of Sacks. Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
MDP.
yeah.
That was something special, man. I had that poster up in my room with him laying across a bunch of potato sacks. I got that from McDonald's. Love it. The Fridge's brother, William the Refrigerator. William Perry, the Fridge. His brother was Michael Dean, who played for the Browns. Love that guy.
Incredible. Yeah, 51.5 sacks for the Browns, 470 tackles, 7 fumble recoveries. Absolute beast. First player I ever met in person at Builders Square. If you guys remember Builders Square, it was like the old Home Depot.
I saw him play basketball at Revere High School.
You're like, what are you talking
That's
about?
back when the Browns used to do that, like for charity. And he played basketball and he could dunk. That's just amazing to me. A guy that size could dunk.
Monster. My number 2. This one stings a little bit. Demario Davis, first team All-Pro for the Saints, elite linebacker. We traded him in 2017. Here's the headline. This is from back in, I think this is Cleveland.com, 2017. Browns have shipped linebacker Demario Davis back to the Jets for 2014 first-round safety Calvin Pryor, who had tumbled down the depth chart and was set to be released.
Another great move by us, really.
He played really, really well in that playoff game, wild card weekend. Wouldn't mind having him back on the roster.
Oh, that's depressing. What's your number 1?
Going Ozzie Newsome. Speaking of depressing, I'm going to go not tight end. You know, I looked this up. He only fumbled 3 times in his entire career. That's insane. That is insane.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But I'm going to bring him in as GM, not as tight end. Bringing him as GM. He would.
Well, I didn't know we were
he'd be pretty
doing the
good.
GM side.
We weren't. I just threw it in there.
Happy move.
Chris, what do you got?
All right. Well, it's 2020, so I'm going with 4 this year. I'm going above and beyond. I'm not just doing the 3. So my number 4 is Phil Dawson. Give me the ding on Phil Dawson. I mean, wouldn't it be great to have a kicker like Phil back here? He really knows the wins there in Cleveland. I mean, I like our rookie. I like Seibert, but Phil Dawson's always got a special place in my heart. He was the only good player for a long time before Joe Thomas on these teams. So
Very true.
Phil is my number 4. My number 3, Brian Brennan. Remember Brian Brennan?
Wow, yes.
Instrumental in those Browns games, or those Browns teams back when we were actually the playoffs, and guys like Ernest Biner were tearing it up. It was guys like Brian Brennan going and getting the ball on 3rd down, 4th down, converting and keeping us in those ball games.
Yeah.
My number 2,
That's a good one.
Eric Metcalf. Eric Metcalf. You know, we're going to talk to Ernest Biner, and he was one of my favorites. Eric Metcalf was another one. He was just so unbelievable, especially in the return game. He could change the entire outlook of the game. And the 2 return game against the Steelers, I was there, and that was unbelievable. Get him in his prime. And my number 1, also MDP Michael Dean Perry. I'm with you on that one, Dave.
Nice. And I think Ernest Biner would have made both our lists had we not had Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb on this roster.
There you go. That's right.
Bree,
Yeah.
what do you got for us?
Yeah, so I took a similar approach to that. I love EB, but I stuck with what we need. So I'm going to go with number 3, which is Clay Matthews Jr., who
Yes.
got snubbed again. But
Can you believe that?
imagine having Clay. I know, right? Like one day it's going to happen. It's just the curse of the Browns, I guess. Not the curse, but the NFL hates us.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, imagine having Clay, his presence behind that defensive front with Joe Schober and Mac Wilson. Who knows if Joe's going to stay, but we have some holes here.
I like it.
Number 2. one of my favorites, Lights Cameron action. Jordan Cameron, one of our tight ends. 2011 and 2013, he was a Pro Bowler, and I believe his quarterback was Jason Campbell and Brandon Whedon. So imagine having Baker Mayfield throwing to a tight end, which could have used this year because David Njoku went down pretty early.
Yeah, and then
Not
Jordan
to be confused
Cameron.
with Cameron Jordan.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true. What did he get? He went to the
we
Dolphins.
screwed that one up too.
I remember when he was.
Yeah, he did, and then he wasn't there for very long, right? Because he kept
wasn't
getting
any good.
concussions.
Yeah.
Right.
And my number one, no surprise, I think, to anyone, but Joe Thomas. I feel like this goes without saying, but having Joe Thomas protecting our franchise quarterback in Baker, because I still believe in Baker Mayfield, would be a dream come true. How many quarterbacks did Joe Thomas play with?
He can't name them all.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Thomas himself can't remember them all. That's just amazing to me.
So
My
sad.
favorite there, yeah.
That's right. That's right. Hey, you know what? That was a lot of Browns legends. Let's bring another one on the line here in our featured interview for this week. Take it away, Christopher.
Dave, we're lucky enough to have one of the real heroes from my youth, Mr. Ernest Byner, not only a legend for the Cleveland Browns, also a legend in the NFL. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion, author of the book Everybody Fumbles. Mr. Ernest Byner, welcome.
Hey, how you all tonight?
Doing great. Even better with you on our airwaves here. Hey, let's talk first about our Brownies. Once again, we're in the middle of another coaching search. As a player, what did you like in coaches? Did you get along with Marty? What type of a coach did you appeal to you?
Well, I really never had an issue with with any of my coaches, but consistency was probably the key for me. Being consistent about how he dealt with players, being consistent with, holding everybody accountable. Consistency to me is probably the strongest trait. And if you got somebody that, even if you didn't like it, if it was consistent, then, you could understand.
Is that something you think that the Browns should be looking for right now? Is that something that might be lacking in the organization from a head coaching standpoint?
Well,
in the past?
I think I think you should definitely look for that. For anybody that's in a leadership position, you pretty much want to know where they stand. So. I think, consistency and, how they deal with players, how they deal with issues, how they deal with, what they're asking of the guys, and, if you get somebody that is inconsistent about, sometimes, if you want to catch somebody off guard, you want to spark them a little bit. A little bit of inconsistency is, maybe good, but overall, man, I look for someone that means what they say what they mean, follow up with what they, with what they're asking. If it's any threats, if it's any discipline, knowing, pretty much knowing, what you're going to be getting from them. I think is one of the keys to me.
Mr. Bonner, we need one of those coaches here badly, very badly in Cleveland. Who's your favorite? Who's your favorite? Who would you like to see here? Now that the guys that are left.
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know any of them. I've seen a couple of guys. What they, what teams they've been on. But to tell you the truth, I don't know any of them. Josh, McDaniels, obviously is, to me, one of the ones that you know most about. But that don't mean that he's the favorite or should be the favorite. I think when you have leaders of men, and you're looking for someone to change a culture, you definitely want to pretty much know what you're getting. I'd like to see have the guys have a team meeting. Have a mock team meeting. Have Baker Mayfield in a meeting. Have Odell. Have Jarvis. Have Garrett. And not ask them for their opinion about the head coach, but be in a meeting and listen to how they would have the team come together, how they would teach or ask for ownership, from in the ranks, really have a meeting, somewhat of the minds. But like I said, I wouldn't ask the guys for their opinion about the coach or, who should be the coach or, just, have them sit in a meeting and make the coach sit there. Make him talk to them about, building a team, about having accountability, about having the players own the things that they're asked to do. How do you foster that? How do you get that out of players? How do you build that ownership among the ranks, and see what comes out of that meeting?
You've got some running back coach experience along the way. You want to throw your name in the hat?
No, I don't. No. I would. Earlier in my after playing, I would. I saw myself as a head coach. But with the things that I'm dealing with now off the field, trying to keep focus, dealing with some of these concussion stuff, I would like to help to build a culture. I've sat in meetings, where head coaches were interviewed. I've been on winning teams. Probably out of my 31 years, probably about 20 years, we were in the playoffs. So I know winning. I know what builds winning. I know winners. I've sat in meetings, with head coaches, talking to the players, and I've seen what it is, or felt. You could feel, when you hear a leader talking in one of those meetings, you could feel the energy that reverberates in the room. So I would love to be able to help with the building process of a winner. But hey, I can't do the coaching no more. I can't hold this stuff. Anyway, what you about to say? Somebody was about to say something.
I'm sorry, Ernest. Didn't mean to cut you off there. You started to allude a little bit to some of the struggles you're having off the field. I was wondering if you were comfortable enough to share some of the things that you're going through right now after football. Some of the things that we as fans might not get a chance to see when you guys, the idols for me as a 7-year-old looking up to you. Now, what you're dealing with once you get away from the NFL.
Well, the concussion issues, memory, the emotional, some of the emotional ups and downs that comes with dealing with concussions. Really having the overall confidence to be able to deal with some situations that come up. Those are basically some of the stuff that some of the things that I'm dealing with. In reality, I'm right now I'm speaking pretty good, but I get a little I get off a little bit sometimes here and there. but you know, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't trade my career. Wouldn't trade you know, the life that has been availed to me. I love it. Still love the game. I still love, you know, what the game gave me, and what it availed to me. I mean, the people that were, you know, been involved in my life: Marty Schottenheimer, Joe Gibbs, you know, Brian Billick, you know, my running back coaches. I mean, it's, but a lot of people I have lost over time, and it's a blessing, though. You know, to me, again, I'll just say it. I'll say it again. It really is a blessing, and I still love it. I love it today, and I will continue to love it.
Yeah, we were having flashbacks this year of when you were on the field with our running back Nick Chubb, who ended second in NFL in rushing yards this year. You know that we had added Hunt midway through the season, and like I said, it was like watching you and Kevin Mack of the olden days. What did you think of those two? And now, do you see the Browns keeping those guys together?
I would try to keep them together, most definitely. If I were the Browns, one of the things that, you know, it was one of two things that really struck me with these guys is that they played with an urgency. They played with a mentality. I mean, you could tell that the game means something to them just by their play. I mean, they're fighting for extra yards every play. I mean, they playing every play out to the end, you know, trying to get everything they could. So these guys, man, I think they're people that you build a team around. They played. They could be an example, you know, for other guys. They could be inspiration. I mean, the same thing that Kevin and I were to the Browns back in the day, I think these guys are to the Browns that, you know, in this day and time.
So another guy taking you back, you know, Art Modell was a big part, I think, of what you went through. Obviously with the Browns, he was the owner then. Moved in Baltimore, you were a Baltimore Raven. You went on to success with them in a Super Bowl. What are your feelings ultimately on Art Modell and his legacy? Do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
Well, I can tell you this, you know, Hall of Famer, that's debatable. You know, to me, Mr. Modell made a difference in a lot of people's lives, you know, as far as players are concerned. I know a lot of Browns fans, you know, probably the majority of them hate it because of
and you understand why,
you know, but I do understand why. But I, for me, you know, he was one of the father figures as far as the National Football League or football in general was for me. I had Ed Emery, I had Anderson Bentley, who was a father figure for me when I was in junior high going to high school. Ed Emery at East Carolina, Marty Schottenheimer, Joe Gibbs, and lastly, you know, it was Art Modell, who sat me down just like a father would a kid, one of his kids toward the end of my career, and talked to me very caringly about what he saw for me, what he desired for me after I finished playing ball. So, and also told me face to face that the trade was one of the worst decisions that he made. You know,
from Mike Oliphant.
You know, as far as
from Mike Oliphant, right?
right.
That was the trade from Mike Oliphant. We traded Ernest Biner for Mike Oliphant. I mean, to this day, that still upsets me, to be honest with you. You went on to do such great things after you left the Browns, and we traded you for Mike Oliphant.
Right. Well, he told me that. You know, he's like, hey. But I mean, I have respect and love for the man. but I do understand, with the move and whatever the decision-making process they went through back at that time, how Browns fans can have the in their craw for it. So, but that's what it was to me, though. I mean, I can't say, is he a Hall of Famer? To me, that's going to be up to the writers and whomever else make those decisions.
How about the current owners? Like you said, Browns fans have strong feelings about Art Modell. We always seem to have strong feelings about our ownership group. You have any thoughts on Jimmy Haslam and kind of his group and what they've been doing with the Cleveland Browns right now?
Well, you know what, they're going through a coaching search, right now, coaching GM search again, and I think what they're looking for, or what they are searching for, is a consistency. When you look at other organizations, when you look at the Ravens, when you look at Pittsburgh, we don't want to say Steelers, but when you look at the organizations, when you look at Seattle, when you look at New England, there's a consistency that you see, and I think they are searching. For that. I can't see them not wanting or desiring to have a winner. Some of the decision makes, that it may seem like it, but I think they are searching really, really inwardly now, even more so, to find a consistency or find that winning mentality that build something that will be lasting. So their decision-making process, has to be, I'm sure it has been and has to be questioned. They have to be doing that themselves. So I see them trying to get it right, and hopefully that's the case.
The other thing, Ernest, we've been trying to get right since 1999 is a quarterback. And a lot of people have been wavering on Baker Mayfield. So I'm curious to get your opinion on our young QB and what can we expect from Baker next year? Is he our guy?
Well, the thing that I saw in Baker, I thought I saw this at the rookie dinner, because they bring in the last 2 or 3 years they brought veterans in to speak with and speak to the rookies that come in about what it is to be a Brown, and I thought I saw within Baker at that time a real focus, and that he would get it. So my desire, and the thing, there's 2 or 3 things that stand out to me with him is, being emotionally mature, how to handle difficult situations, how to handle when I'm asked about another player, how to, he's, to me, he's come from winning. So whatever that winning, whatever made him a winner, whatever drove him to always try to get better, is to get back to whatever that was. Because I think that's the thing that really is inside of Baker that hasn't been coming out of in the last 2 years. It's, he played good some last year, the year before. But he hasn't been consistent. Consistent. So consistency is lacking. So I think he needs to address go back to whatever that was that drove him, or what he, to me, I hated losing. I hated not getting it right. I hated that. That drove me. And I think when you hate losing or hate failure more than you love winning, then that's the things that really pushes you. And I think Baker needs to get back to whatever that foundation is, that he came from and really, really, really bring himself and bring the team, have that type of ownership, within himself and with the team that would drive everybody else to be better as well.
One of the things you talk about there, Ernest, is how you deal with adversity. And I've got to ask the question. I've got to ask, 7-year-old me, the fumble in 1987, the AFC Championship game that everybody knows about. I watched you in
Right.
Believe Land, and you did. It was amazing. It was so poignant, your message to Cleveland. I know that I felt this way, and a lot of people did. I wanted to give you a hug because you were so apologetic and just over the top. I know how much that
I
meant
needed
to you.
that hug.
Yeah, and I did. I literally wanted to hug you. I mean, I went from at 7 years old, I wanted to kill you, to now as an adult looking back,
Right.
going, oh my God, man, this man has just had all of this baggage over the years about the fumble. Now you're talking over 30
question.
years ago. What are your thoughts on it today as we sit here and we're talking right now? Over 30 years ago, you're going through the playoffs right now. You're watching these guys, some be successful, some fail. Is it something that's constantly on your mind still?
No, it's not not as I'm not as self-conscious as I once was in regards to it. And I say, because I say self-conscious, it was, I was in public or out somewhere, and I was always wondering when the other shoe was going to drop, when somebody was going to either yell out fumble or
Did that
bring
happen
it
a
up.
lot? Did that happen a lot to you?
Oh yeah. Oh, it did. Or when a writer or television person was going to bring it up, even at the Super Bowl. I'm having to answer questions about the fumble, and I had to threaten to stop the interview to get people to get off of it. And it was just something that, I just, and I can tell you this, I was never, if you look at Ernest Byner before the fumble, the freedom that I played the game, I was a badass before fumble. I was
No doubt
an ass, over. And especially during the playoff times. I'm not bragging, but almost every record and playoff record for running backs I got for the Browns, and that, to me, that says a hell of a lot about, based on the legacy that we look at. But I never did get back to playing that free. I played hellified football when I went to Washington.
You did
for about 4.5 years. I was out there, but I was never
Did you play mad?
as free.
Did you play mad
Huh?
when you were in Washington? Were you mad about what had happened and like showing up Cleveland because you were traded? Did you play mad at that point?
Oh, heck no. I really grew up when I went to Washington. I had to really I had to forgive myself. I had to, because I was kicking my own ass for a long time. And even after that, Believe Land really was, for me, like the final cathartic thing that happened. It just really kind of put it over the top for me. So the fumble to me is a part of my story. It's a hell of a part of my story, but it's a part just like the Super Bowl. So I use it now to talk about both being successful and failing, and how important both of those are, and how the balance in life typically happens. That's why, everybody fumbles. It's not just about the fumble. It's about how do you overcome? How do you maintain? How do you always continue to grow? How do you look at each experience and also how do you find your balance? One of the last things I'll say about, everybody foremost, I'll talk about the power of the breath, how to use your breath, breathing, deep, focused breathing. How do you use that to regain your balance, whether it's from being overjoyed by a positive thing or being knocked down really low by a negative thing? How do you get back to balance? And I think, one of the things is the power of the breath. So all of this was just part of my story. It's an incredible and important part, but it's not, there's balances in life. So that's the way I use the fumble at this point. That's why I wrote the book, Everybody Fumbles.
That's incredible. And what a story of growth, I'll tell you. But you got to level with me. You're a nice guy, Ernest, but tell me the truth here. Webster Slaughter missed the block on the fumble. That's what happened, right?
I didn't take care of the ball, man.
Come on. This is your chance. Throw Webster under the bus. Hey, Webster missed that block.
Let me tell you. I'm telling to me, I'm responsible for handling the ball. I'm the last person who has the ball in hand. And for me, because I protected the ball. I pulled it in, but I let my arm come back out to let Jeremiah catch it, because I was breaking tackles all freaking day. They weren't stopping me, So I was dragging and getting extra yards. So that's what I was trying to do. When I let my arm came out, when I let my arm come out to let whoever was, I didn't know who it was. It didn't matter who was tackling me, because I was trying to get in the end zone, and I was getting in the end zone, but the ball just really almost like dropped, just dropped out of my arm. So it was my responsibility. It wasn't, Webster. Yeah, he had his job to do, just like I did, and mine to me was, I take responsibility for not holding on to that ball. It's mine. You know what I mean? I can't. Webster, yeah, he should have did his job, but in reality, overall, it was my responsibility.
You're completely different than me, Ernest. You're taking the high road. And I tell you what a great lesson, everybody. I'd be throwing Webster right under the bus. Going, Chris, you know what? I'll tell you, I've had to deal with this for years from the fans. And I want to tell you, nobody says that Webster Slaughter missed that block. And I'm here to tell you he did.
Yeah. I get that a lot. I do get that a lot. But, even today, some people were telling jokes, about it on the radio, and some of the guys brought those up to me. I had one guy who really kind of seemed like stuck by me even more so, and that was Carl Big Daddy Harrison.
Yeah.
And on the plane, coming from Denver. He was one of the guys that actually, tried to console me. He actually saw me crying. He's probably, the one guy who saw me really, lose it, because I lost it on the plane. I don't know if that alcohol had something to do with it too, but I was like, because we actually, y'all probably know this, the plane started to take off, and then we had to abort the takeoff, and we ended up going into a bar in the airport, and we had a few shots in there, but Big Daddy was one of the ones that, I want to hit. Mr. Modell was. He was one of the first ones to get to me and console me. After the game when we got into the locker room. Y'all saw that on Believe Land. Where I don't know what the hell he said to me, because I was so out of it. But Marty was another person that told
There's
me
a gleam,
hey,
gentlemen. Marty
yeah, it's a
Schottenheimer.
gleam.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have been there. Then there's a lot of people that say, you damn right. If it wasn't for Ernest, we wouldn't have been there. If it wasn't for his fumble against somebody else, he said I was like, Bill Livingston waxed my ass a few times when I was up there. Now, how
about Bernie? What was Bernie's reaction to it with you?
Bernie came over. He put his arm around me. Even during the game. But again, I'm so out of it, and I was so exhausted. A lot of people don't. I never said anything about that. I mean, I was spun. When you say spun, I mean I was spun. I was done. And I probably shouldn't have had my ass in the game, tell you the truth, because I couldn't even hardly stand up the plays before that. But some kind of way mustered up the ability to keep pushing, and that's another reason that the fumble happened, because the energy level had been drained. I mean, I was drained. I was done, so I don't remember a whole lot afterwards. Kubiak came up to me and said something to me after the game. Yeah. I don't know what the hell they said. I was just so out of it. You know what I mean? So, it was obviously huge. Obviously, it just voted as one of the top plays that happened. It gets played. It'll get played this year.
You get to see that montage all the time. They love to drag out the Cleveland montage. They love to do that.
Is it a 100%er? I think that's about 100% every freaking year. Yep. They drag me up. And you know what?
The drive, the fumble, red right 88. You got to see them all.
Yeah, absolutely.
They got it all locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't in that game without you. I think you had over 180 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So,
receiving and rushing all over the field. People forget that, and people don't recognize that nearly as often as they should. But Ernest, thank you so much for being on with us. We ran a little late. You were fantastic, and I would love to give you a hug if you were here in person, because watching that Believe Land, and for people who don't know what we're talking about, the Believe Land documentary was just absolutely fantastic. Ernest Byner is just legendary in it, where he discusses the fumble on camera. And I can't describe how emotional it really is for me as a diehard Cleveland fan, and I know for everybody on this show. So I would like to give you a hug through the microphone here, Ernest. All
right. I appreciate it.
Thank you for everything you did for us. And I'd like to take back everything I said as a young 7-year-old about you and what I wanted to do.
That's okay. That's all right.
If you're listening, go pick up. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, everything that was ever said about me, about the fumble, even the negative stuff, it was all because of love and the fact that y'all love. I mean, you love the game, you love the Browns. Even with the things about Mr. Modell, because you love the team, and that's one of the reasons that the connection between us players in the mid '80s. That's one of the reasons why it's still warm in the hearts, because of caring. So that's definitely something that's understood. And definitely appreciate it. And I thank you all for all the love that you all gave me. I thank the Cleveland fans, for the love that they've given me and the support that they have continued to give to me, over the years. I love you. I do. I really do.
Right back at you.
We love you back.
Right back at
you. This is what we for. Yes.
All right. Blessings, many blessings to y'all. I appreciate y'all having me on. Let's do it again sometime, okay?
Sounds good, Ernest.
Hopefully we can get the head coach here pretty soon, and hopefully, like I mentioned before, the consistency that's needed for winners is there. Hopefully the players gravitate to a new coach. because it might be some more changes. It might be some more tough changes if new coach comes in and he wants something, and the guys are not willing to give it to him. So don't be shocked if there are more hard lessons that comes through this process. And hopefully we get it right, and we can get that consistency that's needed. Okay.
That's right.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
as long as we don't trade Nick Chubb and he goes off to another team and wins 2 Super Bowls, we'll be all right.
I love it.
We appreciate it,
Don't let
Ernest.
Nick Chubb go. No, don't do that.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Greatly appreciate it.
Y'all have a good
Good
one.
night.
Okay, bye-bye. Good night.
Oh man, what good stuff from Ernest Biner.
It's 2020.
Powerful.
And that was it. There was our best interview we're going to have all year long. I guarantee it.
Just shut it down.
Fantastic.
Shut it down.
He really was.
What a
I
way
mean,
to start.
emotional. He really went into it. You never know. He's been asked about the damn fumble how many times, and he was still willing to
Yep.
go down that path with us. Really put his heart out there once again, even though he doesn't have to. And wow, that was fantastic. Thank you, Ernest Biner.
Yeah, a lot.
If you didn't
to-
love him, you do now.
Right? Yeah, and Ernest, if you're still watching, you got a ton of comments just in the live comments throughout this show. People saying they love you. Wasn't your fault. And Cleveland loves you, always will. Great stuff from Ernest Biner. Not some real great stuff. Let's go talk some Cleveland potential coaches.
We have to. Dave, you still there?
I sure am. Are you ready to talk some Cleveland coaching?
I am. Are you ready
Excellent.
to talk some Cleveland coaching?
I am absolutely ready. Presented by our friends over at the Cleveland Clothing Company.
Hey, for those of you pledging to get in shape in 2020, Cleveland Clothing Company is here to help you keep that New Year's resolution. They have a whole new selection of joggers, leggings, so you can look your best, represent your city while going for a run or hitting the gym this winter. Be sure to visit them at any of their locations. Downtown at East 4th, in Akron at the Summit Mall, East Side in University Circle, and over here by the Big Play Studio at Crocker Park. Or online, of course, at clevelandclothingco.com. And be sure to use the promo code BigPlay20 for 20% off, Dave.
That's right. All right. So the Browns have interviewed scheduled 6 candidates thus far. I'm going to name a candidate. Let's do a quick pros and cons of these guys. And I want to know where you guys think they might end up. So, Bree, let's start with Josh McDaniels. What do you like about the guy? What don't you like about him? Do you think he'll actually come here?
Man, everybody seems to think that we're going to hire him.
Right? It's like it's set in
Feels like he's-
stone.
Feels like he's already it. I think what I like about him the most is Tom Brady obviously trusts him. And when you look at Tom Brady and the career that he's had, it's hard to argue against that because I think we're trying to build that same success with Baker Mayfield. The other thing is it's rumored that he actually liked Baker Mayfield. So I still believe in
Right.
Baker Mayfield. So I want a guy that's going to come in and make things right for Baker.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at him, the Patriots obviously are always pretty good. They're kind of on the down spiral now, if you will. But, I mean, they're still 7th in points per game. He's a local guy. I kind of hate that narrative because it usually just never works out. But, I mean, he went to John Carroll. He went to Ken McKinley. He's like literally the perfect fit as long as we don't look back at his time with the Broncos and head coaching there. I mean,
Talk to anybody in Denver. They're
Right.
like, good luck with that.
But Chris,
it was such a disaster to those folks. I'll
he,
tell you.
he
so
was
long ago,
he
though.
was
I'm
young.
telling you, that's the impression. He left a lasting impression of those times out there in Denver.
Wasn't he like 34?
Oh, yeah, he was really young. He was really, really young, but still.
And they gave him full reign, right? Like,
yeah.
That's what scares me.
I think what I struggle the most.
T-bowing.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I think what I struggle the most with the Browns and funneling in these new head coaches is like there's this ego drive of I'm going to come in and fix the Browns. So I don't want like that mentality. I think like gets us in trouble because I think it kind of happened to John Dorsey and Freddie Kitchens to an extent of we're going to fix the Browns. And then it's just this like egotistical, narcissistic drive that they have to do everything and they're never wrong when they do things. So.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Baker kind of came in that way too, Bree. He's like, I'm gonna save this place.
Well, so did ownership. I mean,
everyone does. Why wouldn't you?
They've talked about it. They said, hey, we thought it was going to be, quite frankly, a lot easier than what it was to turn the Browns around. So they came in with that cavalier attitude.
Yeah, everybody wants to fix us, but I don't want you to fix us. Just figure out what works.
We're like a big barge. It takes a long time to turn us.
So, Bree, do you want him here in Cleveland? Where do you think he's going to end up?
I've talked myself into wanting him, but I actually think that I'm leaning towards another candidate, which I'm sure we will get to because we're going to talk about all 6. But I've talked myself into him, but I think the Giants and the Panthers job are also pretty appealing. So
yeah, I'm with you there. Chris, let's talk about a guy on one of our least favorite teams of all time, Greg Roman, Ravens offensive coordinator, assistant since 95, been calling plays since I think 2011 or so. The Ravens blew everyone away in rushing. Obviously, that's a pretty jaded stat with Lamar Jackson. I mean, you even look at Greg Roman's time back with Colin Kaepernick. I just don't see it. He looks like Freddie Kitchens' like older, smarter brother, like with the parted hair. I don't know.
You don't see the fit here? I mean, I can't believe you don't see the fit. Come on, Dave. We've talked about this.
What are you
Mr.
talking
Hero.
about? Oh
Mr. Hero, not a sponsor of the show yet. But I mean, the Roman burger, the world famous Roman burger. I mean, Mr. Hero loves to have, the coaches on to promote their product, and then they inevitably get fired. Hugh Jackson comes to mind immediately. And we've had others. It would be natural. Just bring in Roman, the Roman burger, and then he'll be fired within a year. God. It's just a great Cleveland fit right there. Marketing all the way.
He also went to John Carroll.
Of course. You got to have a local guy.
We're getting a John Carroll coach.
That's right. You got to win that introductory press conference, and we're very good at that, unless you're Pat Shermer.
Yeah. Who? Ernest said something about lessons. Who is the guy who it wasn't losses, it was lessons? Which coach was that? Do you remember? Was that Hugh? I think it was Hugh.
I think that was Hugh.
I just said when he said that, I had flashbacks.
Sounds like him.
Oh God, yeah. I don't want Greg Roman. I don't want an offensive coordinator, especially from the Ravens.
Even though like we're interviewing.
We're either going offensive or defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I'm not feeling Roman. I
think we interviewed him just to pick his brain about the Ravens and to distract him.
Which I love. I absolutely love.
Conspiracy theory.
Bree, I have a feeling this next guy on the list is your guy. Robert Saleh, 49ers defensive coordinator.
It's actually he's been on my list of like most intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm making up all of these like categories. So he's on my most intriguing list. I do really like him. My only concern with him is just his lack of experience. But somebody sent me this YouTube video of him that I'll have to retweet out when he got the job, how he got his NFL coaching start, and literally was like in some finance job or something, like not related to football at all. He, I think, became like just I don't even know, like an assistant equipment manager or something. It's just this crazy story. And now he's obviously with the 49ers and running a really strong defense. I like him because he looks like Vin Diesel. And I feel like he just looks like an enforcer.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Greg Williams-esque mindset of at least like discipline. Hopefully we would be on a better page there. But I really think it's truly just the lack of experience. And can he take on that head coaching role that I think is probably the hardest thing to do is when you're over every asset of the team.
So you don't
The
want to
game
bring
comes
in.
down to arm wrestling. We know we've got our guy. You know,
Oh yeah, he'd be our most jacked coach. Who would be
over
the most?
Romeo, really, or Shermer? I mean, we've had some jacked guys.
If we
there
had a
as head
jacked
coach.
coach before, I guess Pettin kind of looked the part.
Yeah, kind of Pettin. That would be the closest of any. Marty, I don't.
No,
Bud Carson,
no.
Sam
Butch,
Bertigliano?
Butch
Come
Davis.
on.
Butch Davis was.
Heck, Jim Brown could probably whip the ass of most of those guys. Come on, he's old school strength.
Isn't that kind of sad? Yeah, we haven't had a jacked
Paul Brown, did I
jacked
say
head
Jim
coach
Brown?
yet.
Paul Brown?
Paul Brown. I know what you meant there.
Yeah, I know Jim Brown could kick all their asses.
Yeah. Another guy I'm not sold on, Brian Dable. He's
No
been
one's
here
sold
before.
on him. Come on. Brian Dable's own family isn't sold on him.
But
Come
you-
on. There's
but
no
you-
way.
but
I thought you were, Chris.
No
Chris,
way we're
Chris,
bringing
you
him
know this is going to be our coach. We're going to miss out
Yeah, it's
this
not
week.
going to be our coach.
And then Jimmy
I was thinking
Haslam
about that today.
is going to be at the press conference selling us on Brian Dable and why he's the best fit, because he's fantastic at the quarterback doing laterals.
Oh God. I mean, yeah, it does seem like I don't know. It's either we're going to end up with Josh McDaniels, which seems fait accompli, or it's going to go the opposite way and be like a Brian Dable, where you go, no. You know, at least with McDaniels to say, okay, we're setting the organization up to make this hire. Okay, I get it. If you go with Dable, it's like, what were we doing again? What was the point of this offseason? I don't know.
And then we let Brian
Yeah,
Dable pick his GM.
think-
What could go wrong?
Right.
Yeah, this feels like the Browns move of like, we actually want like 3 other guys ahead of him, but we're not going to get them because they're going to go to other teams, and then we're going to be stuck with him.
Yeah.
And I don't know. You watch the game from Saturday, and I literally was like, watching the Bills on Saturday night was like watching the Browns in the playoffs. Like I literally was like, oh my God, I didn't know the Browns were actually in the playoffs this year. But that was the disaster. Outside of that first quarter and the first drive, it was like the offense. I don't know what was happening.
Yeah, sorry, Bills Mafia, for rooting for you. We shouldn't have done that. That's our bad. The team who looked good though in the playoffs,
They abandoned the run.
the Vikings. The Vikings looked pretty
Finally
good.
won one.
Kirk Cousins,
Finally
congratulations. Kevin Stefanski. Bree, is this your guy?
So this is my guy. You want to know why he's my guy? Because he made Kirk Cousins look like a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I believe Kirk Cousins is he the number 1 quarterback like ranked right now in the league? I mean, maybe it's Lamar and then him.
I was going to say Lamar's got to be up there, but
Kirk looked fantastic.
I mean, he has one of the best ratings in the league. And this is a guy who I heard, I read an article about him, and essentially is really good at building an offense and developing a scheme that plays up to the strengths of the players that he has versus trying to force his own scheme and trying to fit it into players. And I want someone that is going to build around what strengths we have from a roster standpoint, because I do think we have a pretty solid roster. We have holes, but I want someone that's going to help Baker Mayfield become the quarterback that I think we all know he can be.
Yeah, and this guy, I mean, he was quarterback coach, he was running back coach, he was a tight end coach. He's called plays. Our baseball guy, D. Podesta, loves him. I feel like if we don't get McDaniels, this is probably
Dable.
Oh, shut up, Chris.
The wild card is going to come out of left
No.
field, Dable. He's coming in there. He's just going to swing in.
No. I feel like if we don't get McDaniels, if he goes off to the Giants or wherever else McDaniels may go, I feel like this guy or the next guy and last guy on our list, Eric Bieniemy, is probably our best option. And I feel like maybe Haslam can sell that to us, especially Stefanski. Like, this is the guy we wanted last year before Dorsey told us no. I don't know, man. Back to getting coordinators. That's all we're interviewing. That's all we can probably land here in Cleveland. Chris, who do you like, Stefanski or Bieniemy?
I don't know. Both those guys, I tell you what, Eric Bieniemy, he's going to get a shot at some point.
Yeah.
He's going to get a
him
shot
too.
at some point, and he's interviewing with us for the second time. Everything that I've heard about him is really positive out there. Obviously, we know what the Chiefs have done. Eventually, he's going to get a shot. When you put him in the lineup with these other guys, I say, why not? Why not? Especially since we could go Eric sleeping with Bieniemy, and we can reference that 1992 Julia Roberts flop movie all the time.
So many
Thank you, Chris
T-shirts.
Urban. Yeah, I love that.
Is-
Wait, I also have to just point out
What's
here. I have to point out that in a couple of our coaching candidates, one of our negatives that we had written down a con is being bald because Hugh Jackson was
Hugh
bald. So
Jackson,
that-
I
yeah.
don't like that.
Dable
negative,
and Saleh.
Saleh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like we got to get away from that for a little bit.
No bald guys.
That's right. I don't know. I mean, are you guys holding out any hope for dark horses? Either you want Urban, you want Belichick.
We also just requested to interview Eagles defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz.
Saw that. God, I do not want him. Do you remember him with the Lions?
Oh yeah.
Awful.
I don't know. This does that trouble you? Where we get to the point where we're, like I said, rather than fishing with a pole where there's a couple of guys that we're looking at, we're fishing with a net. We really don't know what we want to get. And it's like, why the hell did you even fire? I know Kitchen sucked, but didn't you have a plan when you fired him of like, hey,
Right.
these are the few guys that we're going to target. Here's what we need to do organizationally to get ready for that. And instead, it seems like it's, ready, fire, aim. We get rid of Dorsey, and now we're sitting here interviewing just a ton of candidates. It makes no sense to me.
And we're going to let one of the candidates, like Brian Dable, pick our GM.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening?
Yeah.
Solid.
What is happening?
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't even talk. We didn't even address the rumors about Tom Brady also coming to Cleveland.
Oh, we will.
Tom Brady
We
and
will.
Bill Belichick. All three of them.
Bree, that was
would
my
be
bold
awesome.
prediction last week.
Oh.
Not Tom Brady. I didn't go that bold, but I
Oh,
went.
I did hear that. Yeah, you said Bill Belichick was going to come back because Chris actually called John Dorsey firing.
He
That's
did.
right.
No
a day
longer being the
before.
GM. Yeah, I listened to you guys on my vacation.
Yeah, I like it. I don't know. Pick one. Who do you guys want?
I'm going Stefanski as my front runner.
Okay.
God, I'm going to have to go McDaniels. And I don't want to. I wanted McCarthy. I mean, I really
I'm
want
with you.
McCarthy.
I know
I
because
did.
Chris, we talked about this last week. We wanted a
The
coach
safe
with
pick.
head coaching experience, even though it's really, really bad head coaching experience. At least he has it. He knows when to call a timeout. He knows when to run a shovel pass.
How about, we had this conversation before, how frustrated I was about Rivera.
Yeah.
When we missed out on him and everybody's like, well, you guys were too late to the game. It's like, okay. And it's like, we can't even talk to that. And now we weren't late to the game. Dallas finally got around to firing their guy, Garrett.
Yeah.
And they just wake up this morning and hire our guy. I mean, it's like, wait a second. Now, we were supposed to be the ones who had him. We were all set, ready to go. We can hire him if we want to. And we just let Dallas sweep in and take him. And I know people are saying, well, the Browns didn't really want him then. But come on. What are we doing? Once again, it goes back to, do we have any kind of a plan? Are we just kind of out here just dangling in the wind? And whichever way that the wind is blowing that's what we're going to go with. Whether it's Jim Schwartz or Daboll or whatever. It drives me nuts. It just strikes that we have no leadership right now, and it's just driving me up the wall.
Well, we've got another week at least because I think we've got an interview on Friday.
Can't wait.
For McDaniels. We'll see. Let's move on to some Cavs. So we all saw reports came out this week. Kevin Love, he's not really happy. He's not too happy here in Cleveland. Pretty frustrated. He loves his teammates though. Don't worry, guys. He loves his teammates. Not much effort. He kind of reminds me of like LeBron when LeBron would pout now, where he's just kind of walking off the court, leaving a little bit early. What should we do with Kevin Love? Is it time to let him go? Please.
Yeah, let him go. But like, Kevin, come on. You claim that you wanted to be here. Like, what did you expect?
Thank you.
I think
that's exactly right.
I think
like,
you
this is what you
expected.
signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't go
Yeah.
in blind. It's not like we had LeBron at the time you re-signed. It's
Right.
like this is exactly what we thought we were going to be. So I don't know, but apparently he's got quite a problem with Colin Sexton. That was
Nobody
amazing.
posted on
video.
Instagram, him and Colin, like with
saw
their arms
that.
around each other. Like, I love this whole like acting out and then posting things on social media. It's like it's so bizarre. Like this, does this only happen in Cleveland?
It's another LeBron James thing because LeBron,
Yeah.
same thing. He's going right out of his book. I'll tell you, last night when we were at
Yeah.
the game, Kevin Love, they did a montage pregame, and they had LeBron James, and everybody's going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they had Kevin Love, and there was a lot of people booing. They were
Really?
booing Kevin
That's
Love when he was up
crazy.
there. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
That's awful.
I wouldn't have believed it unless I was sitting in the arena, but it
Wow.
definitely happened. Yeah.
Well, they all can't be Dante Exum.
That's right. So Bree, we were both at the game last night. Dave and I
Okay.
were. And I have to drive all the way back to Columbus. So I said, hey, listen, I'm probably going to leave at the end of the third. So I do. As soon as I get out of there, the Cavs down 25 start coming back. And just Exum is just killing it, man. What did they tied it up?
They were
get
winning.
all the way
They
back.
were winning.
Yeah, they were winning. They were winning. I'm sitting there on the drive home going, oh, my God, I'm going to miss one of the greatest comebacks ever for the Cavs. Leaving early, and, of course, they blew it. But, man, Exum, he just showed up. Coming out party, maybe.
Oh yeah, everyone was chanting playoffs when we went ahead.
It's
Were they
amazing.
really?
It was the most
Oh, man, I would've
electric
loved to have
6
seen
minutes of
that.
Cavs basketball in 2020.
And I missed it. I left early. I missed the only excitement we're going to have as Cavs fans all year long. I was right there in primo seats, and I left. Man, oh, man, I'm losing all over the place. I went to 3 separate events this weekend. I went to the Blue Jackets on Saturday. I went to the Buckeyes on Friday, and then I went to that game. All 3 of them losses, and my son lost in his basketball game. What a bad weekend.
Chris,
2020 is not starting off.
I got a question about that.
What's that?
Chris, would you rather never attend another live sporting event and your favorite teams actually win, or are you going to keep jinxing them? All of Cleveland, all of OSU, all of Blue Jackets. Your son, are you going to keep jinxing him with your presence? What are you going to do?
And I'm a coach, too, for him. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let me sit at home. I'll sit at home and
Yeah.
watch him win. I'm fine. I'll take one for the team. I don't mind not going to the stadium. If that means we're going to win on Sunday or any other day of the week, then I will be at home.
I like it. I like it. Bree, I got one for you. You mentioned Tom
Yes.
Brady.
Yes.
Would you rather have Tom Brady come to Cleveland for one season and have Baker learn from him, or keep the
As
same
a quarterback or as a coach?
as a
quarterback,
quarterback playing, or would you rather keep the same QB room that we have now?
Listen, I'll tell you right now. If Tom Brady comes and plays for us right now, and we have this same O-line, he will die.
That is true.
So, I'll
So
stay
who
with
do you
Baker.
want to die, Baker or Tom Brady?
Well, Baker has a better chance of coming back to life than Tom Brady. Tom Brady is brittle.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, let's get some bold predictions. What do you guys got?
Bree, you want to go first?
Oh, I didn't think much about this. I'm going to say that the Browns do not hire a head coach by the time
Ever.
we record this next show.
Ooh.
Just going to continue to pass. We'll just go into mini camp, training camp.
Going to
no
call on the combine.
What
We're
if we
gonna
just
have
went no head
Jimmy
coach?
Haslam out there in a golf cart, like running mini
Oh,
camp.
God.
Candidly, I don't think that's a good idea. I can see it, though. I mean, stranger things have happened in Cleveland. Hell, why not, right?
Yeah.
My bold prediction is Kevin Love is going to get traded by the time we air our next show. Kevin Love, thanks for the memories. And they were
Wow.
great, by the way. They were great. Thanks for your time in Cleveland. It's time to move on. Let's get some assets for Mr. Kevin Love.
You're just sealing the fate for all of these people in Cleveland, Chris. He's gonna be gone tomorrow. If we can't find a trade partner,
guess what? Next
oh
week,
no,
baby.
don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, Chris, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm going to will it into existence just week by week. Get rid of players, even players we like.
My bold prediction, I think that we, by the weekend, have Josh McDaniels as our head coach.
Ooh.
And the only reason that's bold, because the only reason it's bold, Chris, is because it's the Cleveland Browns, and there's absolutely no way they should be able to get this done.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I bet he ends up in New York. I bet he ends up in New York.
Right.
And I bet it breaks like overnight tonight. That would be a very Brownie way to go.
God. Yeah, we shall see. All right, we ran over. Thanks to EB, Ernest Biner. That was awesome. Fantastic stuff there. And we will see you guys. Well, hold up a sec. Are we national championship? First, Chris, update on Miami. How we doing?
Oh shoot! They just went to commercial. We were driving.
Perfect.
It looked like there was a turnover.
We're not winning.
Yeah, we're not winning. But
Red
it looks
Hawks are
like,
in
hey,
trouble.
Dave,
Yeah.
we may beat the spread. I think we were down by a touchdown. The spread in this ball game and this bowl game is 2 touchdowns. So
Plus
right now
14.
we're looking good against the spread.
Let's go. Plus 14. Are we doing a show? We got the national championship on Monday, or are we doing Saturday, me versus Nuggets?
Ooh, so
Ooh.
I'm game. I'm game to make it a Saturday show.
Okay.
I guess Darren Ravel is not going to cover it, so somebody has to. Maybe our show does it.
Yeah.
I have me versus Nuggets.
How about Joey Chestnut? Maybe we can get him to call in.
Let's continue to put the heat on Joey Chestnut. See if he actually comes through. He said he was going to do me versus Nuggets this year. So let's see if he's a man of his word or not.
All right. We'll get the Knicks to do it. See how many Nuggets they can eat, and we can just watch them.
All right. Let's tentatively plan on a Saturday show,
Ooh.
me versus Nuggets.
All right. Unless we change our mind, we'll see you then.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kinzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. You're listening to the best podcast on the air, Boom Shakalaka.
Okay, do you need medical attention?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
I don't know. I ain't no goddamn doctor.
Free Shakalaka.